Yes, 1 minute 25 seconds into the last recording now. One just before this one. I'm struck by that state of transcendence is what is held in falling in love. And the amazing thing about falling in love is it's a transcendent state that you hold for months, even years. After which you may still love the other person in loyalty, of course, and you understand the other person even though they're being horrible to you perhaps by then. Well, probably not entirely by then, but as time goes on it can happen, can't it? Enough of that. Being in love has come about because you have projected onto the other person all that you truly value and love them for it. You're actually worshipping them. You could say it comes between you and God, but perhaps God wasn't really in the picture before you were quite secular. Of course, Marshall was before he fell in love, and you could say he was still secular when he was in love because his thoughts weren't of God. Pure and objective. His thoughts were of his God, his goddess. And it's not who she actually is yet either. She may well become it, of course, in the end, like all life. But at this stage, she's a child like himself and just as big a menace as himself. So you could say it's doomed to failure, which may well be behind why in some Christian denominations marriage was not considered, and in many religious views, of course, different religions, marriage is not for those who are earnestly seeking God. But marriage, or rather falling in love, and marriage, is extremely instructive because it gives you a glimpse of the heavenly kingdom where you are earnestly worshipping a projection of what you value, personification. You are loving your God or goddess, whatever you like to call, depending on the object of your love and who you are. Do you see you are experiencing what you should always be doing, which is worshipping your God. It's just that if you attach your God to some other thing that's not God, an idol, like this beautiful maiden or this magnificent young man, whatever it is you as a man or woman are attracted to. Whilst you're doing that, of course, you're not seeing, well, you are, aren't you? You are worshipping your God. That's the whole point. And it's a transcendent experience for you. The whole world is singing to you. You become your best at the level you truly are beneath what was normal everyday living. And the transcendence is glorious, is joy, is peace, is hope, is life, is fullness. You're in love, oh my goodness. Can't do anything with him, he's useless. No point in sending him into war. Give him a year with his beloved, and perhaps he will have settled down by then and come back to the mundane. And that's a great sadness to us, of course, because you've parted from your dream of the perfect, of the wonderful. Well, you can choose to return to it, but don't attach it to some other child. know in your heart that it's the projection of your values, your God, the personification of your values, and worship such with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, probably. That's the practice, the mind and strength. The heart and soul is what you've determined. You at the minute have become the determined one. That's your heart and soul. Mind and strength are engaged accordingly. See why falling in love is so valuable? You actually know the state you're heading for. Wow, really? Do you mean it can be experienced continuously? Yeah, that's what Kingdom of Heaven's about. That's what life eternal is by definition. It's continuous and eternal. Abundant, life abundant and eternal. Oh, well, that's nice. Yes, it is very nice. It's very good indeed. Have you experienced it? Yes. Yes, I have. That's what worship is in church. And I don't mean the theology of church or the religion. I mean the occasional time when suddenly something's been said or you've experienced or sung or heard, testimony. The first testimony that Sunday at the service, was this lady of, I don't know, what was she looking at her? Probably only 28, something like that. And she's holding her little girl in her arms, who is possibly 2 years old, something like that. And she's saying how she lost her child. And of course, well, that's those that have a heart in the audience, it's got their attention, isn't it? Oh my goodness, this is for real. This isn't a flaming sermon. This is someone I can relate to. And if you're a man, you just feel incredibly wanting to be protective of this person. Perhaps you do as a woman too. I don't know. Yeah, you do. Yeah, oh yeah, I know how Mum felt about other women in need. Yeah. And you're in a situation where in some sense you know how the kiddie feels to Mum and how important Mum feels and how important the kiddie is to her. And she's reciting how she lost her kiddie. I died in the womb and she didn't know for a few weeks. And you just with all your heart want to rescue her from this experience. And suddenly yourself has gone completely out the window. You are focused utterly on wanting to bless this soul who's talking. You found your God, what you truly value. And it's such a relief in a sense to know this is what you value, but you're fully engaged in what she's saying and who she is and what she's gone through. And to find that, she's now, well, she's holding one of her bumps now, isn't she? And this is fulfilling. And the contrast of the sadness of before is overwhelming, of course. And all you know in your heart is you love her and her child and God and in a sense all creation. And you now have ears to hear what the next well what she's saying, and the next following testimony is you're much more open now, much more forgiving. You have ears to hear. My soul longs for you. My soul, Heavenly Dad, longs for you. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will do. My soul longs for you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.
Phonetically, meaning had a lodger from China, Ning. That means peaceful. I think in Malaysian it's something to do with, what was it, Filipino? No, Malaysian, I think, yeah. Something to do with shining and glory. Me, of course, is the word we use for self. I suppose you could say the meaning, the peace comes to oneself with meaning. If life has meaning, then, well, you scarcely notice life because you're so involved in the meaning of life, its purpose, and the time just flies away. You're fully involved. A state of peace and well-being. Meaning. Interesting. What the sounds are in our language. I've said before, haven't I, that there are some languages where the letters themselves give you a good clue as to what the word means. Hebrew used to be somewhat like that, at least. There's several languages like it, apparently. And of course, if you've got a language where it's much more rational, say, than English, where you have unique letters to sounds, then of course, you can see how the sounds may tell us more of some of the more complex languages than the spelling. Although the spelling, if you know what the spelling is of a particular word, may give you some clues as to which culture and language it was from, and therefore what it might mean as well. But sounds are themselves a rather neglected area, I think, of analysing what words may have originally meant. For instance, they may have got used otherwise, and sounds may become symbolic of different objects and actions and so on as time goes on. Yeah. Meaning. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Now, if I was to deal with meaning from an English sounding point of view, no, negation, no, not, never, yeah, okay. Yeah, something to do with I, but it's a short sound, so it's not an ego I, ni, but not I, not even I, ning. Well, the sound ing itself is ongoing, like life, so it's and then when we emphasize it with the word me in front, the sounds me, more, morrow, morning, might, marry, mother, mischief, moths. It's something about life, E is in what? C, T. They're continuous things, aren't they? This is a continuous sound, of course. B, C, me, a fee, a tree, sea, seaside, that sort of sea. Keys, they're reliable, they're ongoing, they always work, they let you in. So the ongoingness of me, Marshall, mother, and the negation of the self in it. In meaning, then meaning gives you true life. If you really know God, you know the meaning of God, you have life eternal. You have meaning. It's an ongoing negation of the old self, at least. The child, I, it. And, yeah. Well, that's as far as I can get with it. I mean, it's not going to, don't get me wrong, it's not going to work in all circumstances, and the ambiguities are probably legion, but it's an interesting approach, isn't it, as you linger with a word. Just its sounds. And it crosses my mind that perhaps we pick up foreign languages well by being fully immersed in the language and culture, like watching their films and programs, perhaps with subtitles, I don't know, but perhaps without. Possibly just without, because the sounds do have meanings. And if you're looking at another, say, European language, probably the sounds have very close meanings in your two countries and cultures. And some sounds of explanation, like ah, amazement, is R is associated with God, A, alpha, and so on, may be common to all countries, all cultures. A way of exclaiming, in other words, there may be very primitive sounds that we learn from the beginning. And of course, it's not just sounds. Some countries in particular, some languages stress the way you emphasize syllables or the sound of a word and so on, or what you emphasize in a string of words. And you know yourself how probably in English you can read the same sentence in many different ways simply by stressing different words and so on within the sentence and pausing in different places. Our communication is far more sophisticated than we've become so used to. We dismiss it and we don't think. And our ability to talk and come up with the appropriate words for the sentence and what we wish to say is bewilderingly wonderful. I suspect it's straight from the mind of God, according to our values and intent, purpose and so on. And the universal mind, if you like, of God feeds in what is appropriate to our communication. That's an extreme theory, isn't it? But anyway, you may have come across it before with me. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.